In the present day, a young monk sat in deep contemplation, his heart heavy with discouragement. Despite years of devotion to the teachings, he found himself weary and disillusioned, on the verge of giving up his spiritual journey. Sensing his inner struggle, the Buddha approached and spoke with calm compassion. Once, began the Buddha, there were two merchants. One, greedy and deceitful, sought to cheat a poor family out of their only possession, a golden bowl. The other merchant, honest and fair, paid the family a decent price for the same bowl. This story, like your own struggle, carries a lesson in perseverance. The monk looked up, intrigued by the story, and the Buddha continued. In the past, in the kingdom of Seri, lived two merchants who dealt in pots and pans. One was a kind-hearted man, while the other was consumed by greed. They divided the city between them to sell their goods. In this city, there was once a wealthy family, but over time, misfortune befell them. Only a grandmother and her granddaughter survived, living in poverty. Among their few belongings was an old bowl, covered in grime, forgotten in a corner. Unknown to them, the bowl was made of gold. One day, the greedy merchant came to their door. Seeing the bowl, he realized its worth but pretended it was worthless. He scratched it with a needle, confirming it was gold, but threw it down, saying, "This isn't worth even half a farthing," and stormed out, hoping to return and take it for nothing. The monk listened intently as the Buddha continued. Later, the second merchant, the Bodhisattva in a past life, arrived at the same house. When they showed him the bowl, he recognized its value. "This bowl is worth 100,000 pieces, he told the grandmother. I don't have that much, but I will give you everything I have, 500 pieces of money and all my goods." The grandmother, astonished by his honesty, said, "At last merchant told us it was worthless, but your goodness must have turned it into gold. Take what you can and go your way." The Bodhisattva, with their blessing, took only a few coins for his journey and left. But when the greedy merchant returned, he was furious to learn that the golden bowl had been sold to his rival. He lost control, throwing away his goods and chasing after the honest merchant. But by the time he reached the riverside, the Bodhisattva was already gone. Consumed by rage and envy, the greedy merchant's heart broke, and he died on the spot. The Buddha looked kindly at the monk, who was still processing the story. Just as the foolish merchant, blinded by greed, lost his chance at great wealth, so too will one who gives up on the path of Dhamma lose the chance at liberation. If you give up striving now, you will suffer long, like the hawker of Seri who lost the golden bowl. Hearing this, the monks gathered around asked the Buddha to explain the connection. The Buddha smiled and said, "In those days, the foolish hawker was Devdatta, driven by jealousy and greed. I was the wise and honest merchant, following the path of truth and generosity." With this, the Buddha uttered a verse. If here you miss being certain of results in the true Dhamma. For a long time you will suffer. Like the merchant in Seri. As the Buddha finished his teaching, the discouraged monk was filled with renewed strength. He realized the importance of perseverance and, through the Buddha's words, attained the highest fruitu arahaship, the final liberation.